So the King, when he denied last week that he had any involvement in this 12 million quid, you say was lying.
I believe so. This is a story about financial corruption at the heart of the royal family, abetted by the monarch itself, the late Queen, and possibly by our present monarch. If it does emerge that Charles knew all about it, he's going to have to step aside for William. I think we're getting to that stage. I'm surprised it's taken so long, because some of these accusations have been in the press for 15 years. Many of these revelations, which are described as being new, are actually in my book. So this has been a huge cover-up.
Let's talk about Andrew. I mean, the situation now is it's almost, I think, getting slightly ridiculous. The sheer volume of the allegations and accusations against the former prince are now extraordinary. They are, without in any way wishing to undermine the seriousness of the accusations against Peter Mandelson, they're more serious. We have allegations, of course, that the Prince Andrew, the then Prince Andrew, when he was a trade envoy for this country in the noughties, was not only, in effect, these are allegations, of course, which he denies, in effect selling secrets, British secrets, to Jeffrey Epstein, but now he stands accused of selling secrets to his banker friends, the Rowlands, David and his son Jonathan Rowland, plus Gordon Brown, no less, former Prime Minister, saying that Jeffrey Epstein flew 90 flights into Britain full of his various women that he was sex trafficking, and that Andrew was up to his neck in this, that some of these women went directly to Buckingham Palace and he had them spirited in for his own delectation, allegedly. Now, these accusations are extraordinary. They're much more serious than the allegations against Mandelson, serious though they are in themselves. And yet, here we are, a week on, still no announcement of an official police criminal investigation into the King's brother. That has to happen, doesn't it, very soon?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what I would say is I'm surprised it's taken so long, because some of these accusations have been in the press for 15 years. Many of these revelations, which are described as being new, are actually in my book, and there was no action taken. So I had the associations with the Rowlands, and I had many of these episodes of him basically insider trading. You know, I think it's got to the point where the Met cannot now fudge it any longer. They have to bring charges, investigate and bring charges against him. You're absolutely right. These are more serious in many ways than those against Mandelson, and they move pretty smartish there. We've got now, I think, more evidence about the sex trafficking, so they have two grounds on which to go after him. But I think the interesting question here is, as I say, how it's taken so long for the story to emerge. There are literally hundreds of people, most of whom didn't speak to me, who were involved in abetting Andrew in these activities, going right up, I'm afraid, to the late Queen. And I think there's some wider questions that, I mean, it's not just Andrew who should be the fall guy here, but others. It is, I mean, I noticed from your previous discussion, I mean, the elites now are finally being held to account for running things totally in their own interests. Fergie, of course, also comes out of this badly, and I think we're going to see more and more attention paid on the daughters. I've actually offered material written to the National Crime Agency, offering them to give them a list of people they should be talking to, and material that I have that isn't in the public domain, and I haven't had a reply.
And you made many Freedom of Information requests to the police about Andrew's activities when he was trade envoy, and every time got them knocked back. They came up with excuses not to give you the information you request. And I think that would be down, let's face it, to traditional cat-doffing royal deference. The police did not want to get involved in investigating the Queen's the King's brother and the Queen's son then. And I suspect that same impulse is pulsing through the veins of the coppers right now. They are reticent to investigate the King's brother, a member of the royal family. But I don't think they can hold off much longer, do you?
No, I mean, my requests actually mainly were to the Foreign Office and Department of Business and Trade. So, I mean, hundreds of them, which were all batted back. I only had a few to the police. But, and the Foreign Office told ambassadors not to talk to me. So, I mean, so this has been a huge cover-up. But yes, I mean, the police are now saying that the Director of Public Prosecutions are saying they will operate without fear and favour. And I think there's so much public outrage that they can't be seen to do nothing now and kick this into the long grass as they've done before.
And also, Andrew, and I think that this is something that the King has got to address as a matter of urgency. He does not seem to be understanding the urgency and the seriousness of the royal family's predicament right now, which I think is genuinely existential, thanks to Andrew. And the serious issue that the King has got to diffuse is this. We got details from the Sun newspaper last week about this £12 million that was handed by Andrew to Virginia Giuffre. God rest her soul, she took her own life subsequently. He handed her £12 million not to go to a civil court in New York to sue him civilly for allegedly sexually assaulting her on 3 different continents. He denies that. We all say, well, if you deny it and you say you never met her, why did you give her £12 million? Frankly, we don't believe you, which is the only logical conclusion to reach after that set of circumstances. But we learned from the Sun last week. The Sun said that something like 10 million was supplied by the Queen to Andrew because he didn't have the money. Some of the money was supplied by Prince Philip, and that the rest, more than £1 million, was supplied by the King. This was, or the then Prince of Wales, Prince Charles. This was denied the next day by the palace. But either way, I mean the King's or the Prince of Wales contribution, but either way, what this amounts to is because the royal family were worried about overshadowing the police's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, they handed Virginia Giuffre 12 million quid hush money to keep Jeffrey Epstein's sordid sex secrets. That is a dreadful look. It was a dreadful mistake by the Queen. They should never have funded Andrew. And he should never have handed her that money. And the King needs to apologise and he needs to explain. Am I right?
Well, I mean, I wrote about this in the book. I mean, the sums came, as you say, from Charles as well, though he denies it. It did. And I think the big problem he's got is that he's known about this problem for a long time and he hasn't dealt with it. In fact, they've tried to push it under the carpet, and anyone who raised it was basically either it was denied or they had legal threats or there was some strong-arm tactic used on them. So I think the big question, it's now getting to right to the heart of the monarchy, is what did he know, when did he know it, and what did they do? I mean, I've always said this is a story about financial corruption at the heart of the royal family, abetted by the monarch itself, the late Queen, and possibly by our present monarch. And I'm afraid if it does emerge that Charles knew all about it, then I think there's going to be a public outcry and he's going to have to step aside for William. I think we're getting to that stage.
So you would say then, when the King, or the King's office, very, very swiftly after the Sun broke down how that 12 million quid was paid to Andrew to hand to Virginia Giuffre, and it involved more than £1 million from the then Prince of Wales, now King. When he denied that, you say he's not telling the truth.
Absolutely. I have a lot more information, which I will be revealing in due course, about the involvement of the whole family in this.
So the King, when he denied last week that he had any involvement in this 12 million quid, you say was lying?
I believe so.
That's extraordinary. I mean, but as I say, yeah, it is important whether or not the King contributed, but I don't think the royal family made the most horrendous mistake by ever allowing Andrew to hand any money to poor Virginia Giuffre, because that was hush money to keep Epstein's secrets. They should never have done that, should they?
Well, they've been keeping the Epstein secrets for a long time. This was just the latest stage in that process.
And also, last point, Andrew, it's always good to talk to you. I really appreciate you coming on. your book was full of the most explosive, extraordinary revelations. I always remember when they were first serialised in the Daily Mail, you know, devouring every word, going, my God. But you say that your lawyers kept out a lot of even worse information about what Prince Andrew and the royal family were up to. So that you believe that in terms of the bombshell revelations about Andrew and the royal family and the Epstein files, we haven't heard the worst of it or the last of it.
No. I mean, they took out, for example, all the stuff on Mandelson. I think they took out the stuff on the Islamic Bank. But there's more that I've found since. More people have come forward. I'm seeing, indeed, new people even this weekend. So I've got a lot of new material, and I think there'll be more revelations from the Epstein leaks. I mean, I've seen several things which the press still haven't picked up on.
And that you are going to do a revised edition of Entitled, The Decline and Fall of the House of York, with all this new information that's been emerging. When does that revised edition become available?
Comes out on the 21st of May, and you'll be first in the queue for me to come and talk about it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. I demand that, and I can't wait to read it. Always good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Andrew Lownie, royal author there.